Strategia noastră este să distrugem Federația Rusă, imperiul rus, iar dimensiunea lui nu contează. Ideea noastră este ca Europa să aibă țări normale pe teritoriul fostei Rusii, să nu avem un imperiu la granițele noastre, pentru că atunci când va avea puterea, va ataca Europa. Această declarație îi aparține lui Mikhailo Samus, director New Geopolitics Research Network din Ucraina, invitatul meu de astăzi. Sunt Cristina Cileacu, începe Pașaport diplomatic. Mikhailo Samus, director New Politics Research Network, welcome to Diplomatic Passport.
Hello, and I'm very glad to participate in your program.
Ucrainenii sunt în continuu inventivi cu metodele de apărare pe care le folosesc în fața agresiunii ilegale a Federației Ruse. Pe lângă atacurile cu drone pe care le fac asupra anumitor obiective militare din Rusia, în august 2024 au surprins pe toată lumea, dar mai ales pe Putin, cu propria ofensivă în regiunea Kursk, pe teritoriul rus. Putin a fost atunci forțat să recunoască situația din țara pe care o conduce ca fiind noul normal. La începutul noului an 2025, ucrainenii încă dețin acel teritoriu și mai mult au reluat atacurile împotriva armatei ruse. De ce folosesc soldații ucraineni acel spațiu? Pentru că este o zonă tampon care împiedică avansul rusesc în estul Ucrainei. Un alt atac neașteptat, făcut de ucraineni chiar în centrul Moscovei, a fost uciderea generalului care conducea forțele chimice și biologice ale Rusiei. De fiecare dată, rușii răspund la aceste îndrăzneli cu bombardamente masive asupra orașelor ucrainene, unde civilii sunt principalele ținte.
Ukraine is defending itself by attacking the territory of Russian Federation, causing considerable damage or killing some generals. What is the purpose of this attack, given the fact that every time Ukraine is destroying military bases, Russia is only attacking Ukrainian citizens with much more fury?
Yeah, it's because Ukraine is protecting its country, its territory, and it's impossible to fight on the Ukrainian territory. We need to destroy military infrastructure on Russian territory because when you're organizing some operation, I'm talking about Russians, they all of military infrastructure to prepare to provide this operation, to conduct this operation, because based on the Russian territory, and especially kind of ammunition deploy, the command and control system, reconnaissance and the intelligence system, the all of possible personnel deployment and etc. Airfields, they based on Russian territory, not on the occupied territory. So we need to destroy all of this infrastructure to stop Russian operations on Ukrainian territory. This is very easy. Ukraine use Ukrainian weapons, Ukrainian missiles, Ukrainian drones on Russian territory, and I would say that every day we're producing more and more Ukrainian missile and drones. Do not depend on American administration, for example, or from European countries, because we need to destroy as many as possible Russian objects and targets on Russian territory.
Doar pentru că Rusia este mare și agresivă nu înseamnă că trebuie să îi se permită să facă tot ce dorește. Așa se poate explica simplu atitudinea ucrainenilor care știu că luptă pentru existența statului și continuă să irite Kremlinul cu stilul lor combatant, știind exact ce fac. Mitul despre propria măreție și putere pe care propaganda rusă îl răspândește în lume de la finalul celui de-al doilea război mondial încă mai prinde la public și sunt mulți care aleg să creadă în această perspectivă. Ucrainenii au deja 3 ani de când arată cât de șubredă este această legendă propagandistică.
There is this idea also in Romania and perhaps in many other European countries that you don't poke the bear. The bear in this case being Russia, because it gets more angry. How is Ukraine responding to this? Do you agree with this idea?
No, because Ukrainians understand that while Russia exists, Russia will attack Ukraine. So our idea is to destroy Russians, to destroy Russian Empire. It's clear. Do you think it's something like a joke? No, we understand it clearly, because Russia attacking Ukraine for hundreds of years, occupying Ukraine for hundreds of years, and we understand that if we don't like that our children and next generations lives under Russian occupation, Russian constant attacks, we need to destroy Russian Empire, so we will produce more and more weapons, and we will attack Russia more and more. It doesn't matter how failed this beer, we will attack this animal.
Do you think Russia can be destroyed?
First of all, Ukrainians beaten Russians a lot of time, just because Ukraine fighting always with Russians, and we had a lot of battles in 300 years ago, 200 years ago, etc. And the second, always when Russian had a victory, Ukrainians helped to Russia. All of this Second World War or Napoleon War, Ukrainians fight it together with Russians. Now Ukrainians finally will show what does it mean Russians without Ukrainians. So our strategy is to destroy Russian Federation, Russian Empire, and size doesn't matter here. Of course, the resources they have, this is really a lot, but our idea is that this is an interest of Europe to have normal countries on the territory of former Russia, democratic countries, or maybe not democratic countries, but nevertheless it shouldn't be empire on our boundaries, because it will be the permanent story that Russian Empire, well, when they have the power, they will attack Europe. So we need to destroy this country. We need to help to more than 100 nations, which is under occupation of Russians for hundreds of years, to create own countries, own states, and not only Chechens or Tatars, but a lot of nations under control of Russians for a lot of years.
Planul ucrainean de a distruge Rusia este dificil de pus în practică pentru că, momentan, Ucraina pierde teritorii sub ocupația rusă. Resursele celor două țări sunt greu de comparat, mai ales dacă vorbim despre numărul de soldați pe care fiecare parte îi trimite la luptă. Ucrainienii au mai puțin personal, iar de partea cealaltă, rușii, pentru care viețile umane sunt rareori importante, aduc și ajutoare din afara țării, mai precis, soldați din Coreea de Nord.
Today Ukraine doesn't do well when it comes to manpower. You don't have enough men for fighting even the current war, not to talk about the fact that you want to make Russia disappear. Ukraine, on the other hand, proved to be quite creative in this fight, and usually the Ukrainian army had all sorts of out-of-the-box solutions for fighting Russians. Is this the new way, the technology way towards Ukraine is heading in this war, since the manpower is decreasing?
First of all, I am not sure that you have right information about the situation in Ukrainian armed forces, because if so, why Ukrainian armed forces continue to fight with Russians? And Russians losing every day, I underline, every day 1,500 soldiers killed and wounded.
On the other hand, sorry for interrupting, we do know from history as well, previous and current, that Russian leaders don't normally care for the life of their men. Absolutely. So they can send more and more and more men.
Absolutely, yes.
While Ukraine forces
right.
are limited.
It's a myth about Ukrainian forces limited. You know what is the mobilization resources of Ukraine is 4 million. Registered in Ukrainian application Reserve Plus, voluntary. So now we have 400 million soldiers potentially could be mobilized. So actually it's not so simple, I would say, that every country in democratic world, they don't want to send their own citizens to be killed by the wild Russians. They really don't care about the personnel. And guess why they sending the North Koreans to the front line? Maybe because they have a problems with Russian soldiers. I mean that they still afraid to call the normal mobilization which Ukraine has. They trying to use recruitment, paying a huge money for every soldier, every recruitant. Why they have this possibility? Because they have a lot of money, because of oil and gas. Why? Because sanctions, they don't work. So if you're talking about the personnel and the myth about the Russian unlimited personnel resources, it's a myth. Just let's cut Russians without money and we will see how well this Russian population will react when they started to get them from the streets, not from the prisons and not from the different very far away villages for huge money. When Russia will lack money, we will see how it works. So now it's a situation when Russians using the, unfortunately, very, very weak sanctions, when India and China, the very easy buying Russian oil and continue to send billions and hundreds of billions dollars to Russia. So this is the main reason. We will see how Trump will change the situation, because Trump promised to cut the oil prices, and we'll see in half a year how Russia will manage with this. Talking about the technology, of course, for Ukraine, technology is a solution, because we always fight in asymmetric. We are not going to send the same number of soldiers or Russians. We're caring about our citizens, yeah, about our men. So that's why we are trying to make as much robotized the battlefield as possible, and Ukraine now is a leader of using of drones. This year we produced 1.4 million drones for Ukrainian armed forces.
Când nu ai prea multe resurse să le risipești în război, devii creativ și inventezi metode noi să duci lupta de eliberare mai departe. Ucraina a devenit un loc în care dronele de război sunt produse și folosite atunci când situația o impune.
But how did Ukraine manage to solve this big step towards technology being at war? Who helped you?
First of all, Ukrainians do it by itself. Of course, we have investments from our European friends. For example, Denmark, they found a way how to invest to Ukrainian defense industry directly. They opened a new project, which is Scandinavian countries very actively participating and investing billions of euros to Ukrainian defense industry, because Ukrainian defense companies, they show that, for example, our company could produce drones, our company could produce artillery systems very effectively, very cheap, absolutely cheaper than in France, for example. And instead to invest to France to produce the Caesar artillery systems, the Denmark started to invest to Ukrainian plant producing Bogdana artillery system, very similar to French system. And now we're using this approach that Europeans invest into Ukrainian companies producing drones, artillery system, anti-tank missiles, whatever. But this is very supportive to Ukraine, because every country could have a technology, but to produce technology, real technology to use on a battlefield, a little bit different than to produce only to show it on exhibitions. So this is a testing by real life, real battlefield, very important for our European partners. But nevertheless, Ukraine created the special ecosystem for defense industrial companies. First of all, private companies, which is we call it Brave One. It's under the umbrella of Ministry of Digitalization, and it's instead to have the months to get into the battlefield or to armed forces, we have only 2 months maximum from the start of testing to use it on the battlefield. So it's very fast comparing to the normal system, which could get and take years.
Ce așteaptă toată lumea de la Donald Trump, având în vedere promisiunile de pace pe care le-a făcut în timpul campaniei sale electorale? Bineînțeles, să își respecte promisiunile, doar că ajungem în punctul în care vom observa diferența dintre a spune și a face. Ucrainenii nu vor, cum este și normal de altfel, să cedeze teritoriile ocupate de ruși doar ca să semneze o pace. Ar fi nedrept pentru ei. În plus, s-ar crea un precedent periculos și orice mare putere ar fi motivată să facă la fel, pentru că nu ar fi pedepsită. Așadar, cum vede Ucraina discuțiile cu președintele american la care vor să participe, dar în condițiile lor?
You mentioned that Russia uses a lot of its money in order to pay new soldiers coming from abroad, in this case North Korea. On the other hand, they put everything they have in this war economy. Ukraine is now waiting to see what the new administration, the administration of Donald Trump, is supposed to do, because both Russians, Donald Trump, and also your President Zelensky are also talking about peace. Is something that everyone wants. How do you think this will end up in the end?
First of all, talking about the Russian economy, so-called military economy destroying Russian normal economy, and I'm sure that we will see very soon, especially if Trump will cut the oil prices, we will see the huge problems in Russian economy. But of course, we need to help Russia to make a more and more stronger sanctions. Do not lift sanctions, but put new sanctions to kill Russian economy. Second, Trump and Zelensky not talking about peace. Of course, Trump trying to talk peace, but in Ukrainian understanding, it's impossible to have a peace of Russia as Russia exists. This is our real concrete situation. So, if you're talking about the Ukrainian position, it's only ceasefire. Ceasefire possible, but we cannot talk with Russians about territories, about some concessions or whatever. So we are ready, if Trump asking and if Trump guarantee real ceasefire, we could talk about it. We could start the ceasefire without negotiations with Russians. We're not going to negotiate with Russia anything, because it doesn't make sense. Russia anyway will break it. So we have a idea of ceasefire. If Trump guaranteed and Trump asking Europeans to send troops, this is Trump's idea, that Europeans needs to send troops
for maintaining the peace.
Peace will be after Ukraine return all of Ukrainian territories, because Ukraine, where after ceasefire, Ukraine immediately will start process of returning our territory by diplomatic way. This is absolutely clear. Ukraine will not stop this process of getting back our Ukrainian territory. Russia, of course, trying to say that this is Russian territory, but of course Ukraine doesn't agree. Ukraine doesn't recognize it. The international community doesn't recognize it, and Ukraine will do everything possible to get it back. First of all, diplomatic. If we have a ceasefire and the guarantee of United States and Europe, okay, we will try to do it by diplomatic. If ceasefire will stop, it will be a new war, of course, and Ukraine will get it by military way, including Crimea. Do not forget about it. And of course, because of Crimea, it's a geopolitically and strategically, it's a main point for Ukraine because of the Black Sea and exit to the sea and economical security, etc.
În fața fricii este esențial să ai curajul să lupți pentru ceea ce este drept, mai ales când este vorba de valori fundamentale, cum sunt libertatea, suveranitatea și identitatea poporului tău. În astfel de momente, frica nu trebuie să te oprească din a acționa, pentru că acțiunile tale vor contribui la viitorul unei societăți libere și independente. Poate că lumea de astăzi are nevoie de mai mult curaj.
The last question is about the Russian ideas, because their propaganda is a good one, and all over the world the extreme right parties seem to gain a lot of hearts and minds of people from various nations, including Romania, using this narrative that Russians are creating. Why do you think, since Russia lost in Syria, Ukraine is facing the Russian aggression for the last 3 years and keeps on fighting? Why do you think people don't see this type of examples and go back to the fact that we don't have to poke the bear and we have to be, let's say, small and humble in front of a bigger empire?
Because all of these far-right parties, they very beautiful talking about the peace, but who will provide this peace? Trump? United States? Why? If Europeans, if you're so nationalistic Europeans, please explain me how Europe will protect from any possible. It's impossible because Europe doesn't have armed forces proper to stop Russia. So you need to build European army. But of course, I suggest to build it together. I mean, Ukraine with Europeans, with all of Europeans, together with Romanians, Italians, UK, etc., especially with UK, by the way. So this is illusions which is created by Russian propaganda, by all of this mythology of that Russians they just want to get Ukraine, Moldova, and this is enough for them. No, it's a myth. They will go as far as possible, like during the Second World War. They go as far as possible when they stopped by Americans in Europe. So let's build European armed forces, let's build European deterrence against Russia, and it will be a success.
Atât pentru astăzi, dar rămânem în continuare online pe pagina noastră de Facebook și pe conturile noastre de X și Instagram. Revenim cu subiecte noi din lumea diplomației și a politicii externe vinerea viitoare de la 11:30 și în reluare sâmbătă după miezul nopții. La revedere!